Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 3 things that your favorite team should do this NFL offseason. This is a series that we started a little bit towards the end of the season. I think we were still in the middle of playoffs when I posted the first video. But we go through each division. We talk about 3 things that your team should do. So if you are a fan of any of the NFC East teams, you got the Commanders, Cowboys, Eagles, and the Giants, this is the video for you. Let's go and get started talking about the Washington Commanders. So overall, last season they went 12-5, pretty good year, especially with the rookie quarterback. So a key part to the success of them is going to be Jayden Daniels continuing to produce and progress. Don't want to see any regression from him. Also on the bright side, they have $75 million in cap space. That's the 3rd most in the entire NFL. So they got money to go out and add pieces, which is honestly what the Commanders need to do. The first thing I have for them is improve pass catching options for Daniels. Outside of Scary Terry, there's really not much. Zach Ertz is all right. Definitely not what he once was when he was in Philly. With Arizona, he was still better. But overall, getting a better wide receiver too, getting more weapons, especially through the tight end game as well. I think that'll prove to help out Daniels a lot and just honestly make the offense a lot better. When you have other guys you can look to, it makes it easier. When you're in a big play, you need to get this first down. Everyone knows the ball is going to be going to Terry McLaurin, so adding another weapon for him gives you kind of another safety option, another option, makes it a little bit harder to defend the offense. Number 2, improve the running back room. Now, the Commanders are interesting because they got money, but the roster's really not bad. They're just young. So I don't have a problem with Brian Robinson, but I'm just thinking back to when the Ravens signed Derrick Henry. They have a mobile quarterback, and look at what that run game looks like now. Derrick Henry's good. Lamar Jackson's good on the ground. Jayden Daniels is good on the ground. If they can get a good running back, improve the running back in the running game, that will improve, open up more rushing lanes for Daniels. And I think it'll help this offense hit more goals. It'll make them more explosive, harder to defend, especially if they also add a pass catcher. So number 2, adding or improving the running back room. It's not a need. It's just something that would be nice. I think it would help their offense in the long run, make it easier on Daniels going into year 2. Number 3 is going to be add stars on the defensive side of the ball. The defense could use some work. Their defense is not perfect. It's definitely not bad, though. Definitely a mid defense, but adding some stars to that defense when you're in a division with the Cowboys, who got CeeDee Lamb, with the Eagles, who got Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Defense is going to be key. And even with the Giants, Tyron Tracy didn't look too bad. Malik Neighbors is good. So you want to make sure if you're playing in the NFC East, you want to make sure you got a good defense. Next up, the New York Giants. Previous record, they went 3-14. Not a really good season last year. They're going to have a high pick in the draft. I believe they're picking 3. Available cap, they got $43 million to spend. That's the 13th most. They could do more to make up more money through cutting and restructuring and all that, but we're not going to talk about that. Number 1 thing they need to do is improve their quarterback room through the draft or free agency. Now, I heard a report saying that the Giants aren't too interested in any of the quarterbacks in this year's class, which then leads us to they either have to trade for a guy or they got to sign someone. So I don't know what they're going to do. You cannot trot Drew Lock out there or Danny DeVito to start the season. Tommy DeVito. You can't trot them out. They're not good. So you need to improve the quarterback room, whether it's through the draft or free agency or trade. I don't know who you're going to have. I don't know who to go after, but you got to do that. That's got to be something that you look to do. Number 2 is going to be continue to add pieces to the defense. On the defensive line, the defensive line's good. You got Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. That's good, but you got to improve the secondary and the linebackers. Honestly, outside of that defensive line, I probably couldn't name another player on the Giants' defense. So that's going to be big. Improving the defense, continue to improving it. The defense is trending in the right direction, but you can't just leave it. You got to continue to work to make it do better. And then the final thing is continue to add offensive line depth and offensive playmakers. So, like I was saying, Tyron Tracy did not do that bad last year. So, if you wanted to give him a chance to be the starting back, that's fine. But to make it easier on him, you got to put together a good offensive line. To make it easier on whatever quarterback you bring in, you got to put together a good offensive line. That makes it easier because if you have a good run game, it makes it easier to pass. And if you do end up drafting a rookie quarterback, the key thing is going to be having reliable pass catchers. Now, Malik Neighbors is reliable, but to be honest with you, that's about it. Darius Slayton is a free agent, so he's not going to be on the team. I don't think they'll bring him back. If they do, it'll be good. I think Darius Slayton's a good too, but just where the Giants are at right now, I don't think getting a wide receiver 2 is really that important, like through free agency. I think they should look through the draft to try to find a good wide receiver 2, mainly in the offseason. I think they need to work on that offensive line because if you get a good offensive line, give Tyron Tracy time, give your quarterback time to throw the ball, I think that's good for them. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys. Previous record went 7-10. Available cap, they got negative $2 million. That's the 26th most in the NFL. So obviously the first thing they need to do is get positive. They can't really do anything, can't sign free agents, can't sign their draft picks. So they got to find a way to get positive money. But the number one thing that I think they need to do is improve the running back room. Rico, he's gone in free agency, so who are you really starting? You could bring him back, yeah, sure, maybe, but Rico's not really one of the top running backs. When you think of top running backs in the NFL, you don't list him, and you got a good wide receiver, so it makes sense to improve the running game so you can get the ball to your wide receiver easier. People know CeeDee Lamb is going to be a main target, so if you can have them guessing if it's a run or a pass, maybe that makes it easier to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb rather than them just counting on you throwing the ball to him. So improving the running back room, whether that's through free agency or the draft. I've seen some talks about them drafting Gentee. There's other good running backs in the draft that they could also take if they don't want to use their first-round pick on a running back. They could also just sign someone too. But number one thing, got to improve that running back room. Number two, they got to re-sign some key free agents. When I was looking, I seen Zach Martin was a free agent. Brandon Cooks is a free agent. He's on paper the wide receiver too. And then you also got, I believe it was DeMarcus Lawrence is a free agent. So those are three big pieces. Still really good players for the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to want to bring them back. Losing them is going to be a big loss. Number three is going to be improving the offensive line. So if you can't bring back Zach Martin, that's going to be a big loss. You got to work on improving that offensive line, adding depth. Whatever it is, the offensive line has to get better, especially if you want to try to bounce it out more, make it a little bit more of a running team, and make your running game a little bit more better and feared. You're going to want to have a good offensive line. So improving the offensive line is going to be important. That's definitely something that the Cowboys should work on, whether it's through the draft or free agency. I would imagine most of these things that they're going to end up doing, like improving the running backs and the offensive line, is going to have to be through the draft, with them being negative money in the salary cap. So it's going to be hard for them to try to cut money and go out and spend. So I look for the Cowboys to do a lot of these improvements, or try to do a lot of these improvements through the draft. Be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised to let Brandon Cooks walk and just try to give Jalen Tolbert the 2. But that's the Dallas Cowboys for you. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles. Previous record 14-3. They won the Super Bowl, so congratulations to the Eagles. Available cap, they got $18 million. That's the 20th most in the NFL. The Eagles got a good team. A lot of their star players are still locked up. So, that's good. That's important. Like Saquon's locked up, A.J. Brown's locked up, Jalen Hurts locked up. So a lot of the star players on offense mainly are locked up. Number one thing is they got to re-sign some key free agents. There are still some key free agents, even though I listed the main offensive players still being there. I believe Mekhi Becton's one of them that's going. They had a lot of people on the defense, Zach Bonds for one of them. So there's a lot of key players that meant a lot to this Eagles team that if you don't bring them back, it's going to hurt the team, in my opinion. I think that's big, that they need to bring back a couple of those guys. Number two, they got to find a new offensive coordinator with the departure of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore left. He was a good offensive coordinator. I think he'll be fine as a head coach with the Saints. So I like Kellen Moore. Problem is, Kellen Moore was your play caller, so you're going to have to find a new guy that's capable of calling plays. I think Nick Sirianni might be able to. I believe he was the play caller one year with the Colts before he got the starting job in Philly. So maybe you have him do it. Maybe you find a new OC. I just know that's going to be important to the offensive success that they had this year. One of the main reasons that they were so good in the run game is because of Saquon Barkley and the play calling. So that's going to be big, finding the new OC, and hopefully he's good at his job, and hopefully the offense doesn't skip too much of a beat with the loss of Kellen Moore. Number three is going to be replace whoever leaves via free agency in the draft. So problem is They only got $18 million. There was a lot more people that I can't remember right now, but mainly speaking, Zach Bond's going to want a contract. Mekhi Becton deserves a contract. So there's a lot of people leaving that you're not going to be able to pay. So you got to replace them somehow. You don't got a lot of money to do that, so it's going to have to be through the draft. You're going to have to hit on some draft picks. That's the problem when you're good. People want paid, so you're going to have to keep drafting. You got to make sure you're good at drafting. So for the Eagles to have 6 day in success, they're going to have to hit on some draft picks. They're going to need to make sure people develop well. Now, that's not really something, like, I wouldn't be shocked if they could do that. Cooper DeJean did well. Quinyon Mitchell did well. Both of their D-line, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, they both hit on both of those picks. So the Eagles, they have a history of doing good in the draft. It's just a matter of they got to keep that up to sustain success and going into next year with the people that are leaving. But when it comes to the NFC East, those are all the teams. This is an opinion-based video, so go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think your team should do. If you agree, disagree, all things like that. This is opinion-based. I had a lot of fun making these videos, but when it comes to this video, that's all we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.